Hello everyone, thank you for watching Extreme League Wrestling. We are in with some breaking news today as CM Punk has been officially terminated from All Elite Wrestling. Let's get us up to speed here. As we all know, last Sunday at All In Wembley Stadium, there was an altercation between Jungle Boy Jack Perry and CM Punk. The root of this altercation happened a few weeks back at AEW Dynamite, where Jack Perry planned to do a spot involving real glass in order to write himself off television and to take a pre-planned vacation. This spot was approved by AEW management, and he was set to record it on the following night's Collision. At the venue where Collision was being held, Tony Schiavone, as well as AEW medical staff and CM Punk, discouraged Jack Perry from doing the spot with real glass, with CM Punk reportedly making the comment that you can do that on Wednesdays, but you're not going to do it on Saturdays. Fast forward to last Sunday for All In, whenever Jack Perry and Hook were facing off against each other for the FTW title during the pre-show. Prior to Hook and Jack Perry moving the action on top of the cab that drove Jack Perry down to the ring, Perry looked down the camera and said, "It's real glass, cry me a river." According to reports by Fightful, Jack Perry was displeased with the way that this whole situation had been linked to the dirt sheets. After the match, as Jack Perry walked to the back, CM Punk's match with Samoa Joe was going to go on next to kick off the proper card. During this transition, both men crossed each other's paths, and there began to be a altercation. It is unclear who started the altercation, even though reports are leaning towards Punk being the aggressor. After the two were separated and CM Punk went out to do his match, both men were asked to leave the building. Tony Khan later then stated at the All In press scrum after the event that there would be an investigation. Reports then later came out about this entire encounter that CM Punk threatened to quit AEW and even lunged at Tony Khan. Just a couple of hours ago, AEW published an official statement stating that Phil Brooks will no longer be employed through All Elite Wrestling, followed by a statement from Tony Khan. If you guys would like to see the full statement, you may pause right now to read. So there's really two camps we need to look out here. What does this mean for CM Punk, and what does this mean for AEW? Personally, I think CM Punk is more of a cut-dry situation. I personally think he should be done with professional wrestling. It's extremely clear that he has issues, that he cannot work out with individuals, or doesn't hold really any conflict resolution skills for not only this encounter, but just the encounter that happened last year with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks at Brawl Out. Also, I don't know if it's fitting or ironic, but we're at the eve of All Out, and this pay-per-view last year was kind of the catalyst for the entire downfall of CM Punk. I mean, Lord knows he's probably not going back to WWE, given that Triple H is running the show there now. And sure, you could make the argument that NJPW or Impact would love to have CM Punk, but given that both brands have a very close working relationship with AEW, compounded with all of these backstage stories, I don't think any wrestling company is going to want Phil Brooks on their payroll. Why would you want a walking, talking HR violation? Now, when it comes to AEW, this situation gets way more sticky. You can blame Tony Khan on his handlings of both CM Punk backstage fight situations, but also do you blame the guy when you have one of the biggest draws in wrestling history on your payroll? A guy who moves merch, a guy who moves tickets, a guy whose hometown you were literally about to hold a pay-per-view and an entire episode of television in. I mean, it's a very complicated situation that's way less cut and dry than I think people realize. Because not only are you losing a performer that would bring butts into seats and to move merchandise, you also have an entire television product built around this guy that you were able to convince your parent company, or your broadcast partner rather, to build around him in order for you to get this close to $1 billion deal. The new broadcast deal with Warner Brothers Discovery is how CM Punk did his whole One Bill Phil promo. It was because they had CM Punk. So now we are headed into a weekend where you just came off your biggest pay-per-view, about to have another pay-per-view, and an entire week's worth of TV tapings, or live TV rather, in front of the guy's hometown. I think this may have been done somewhat deliberately to send a message, to do something. You don't just fire a dude on his day off when you're in his hometown, you know? Is AEW a better place without CM Punk? I, in my personal opinion, think yes. If you're going to be this much of a hindrance on morale and the backstage atmosphere, it's better if you're not there. And it's clear that this has been an opinion that has gone more into favor with people backstage. If you remember, that was kind of the genesis for Collision. These, like, air quotes, hard to work with people could finally have a place to go, work out their contract, and be able to get ample TV time. I mean, come on, the guy basically banned the head of talent relations from coming to his show. it's kind of a ridiculous show of power. And you might be thinking, what makes this so different? What makes this be the straw that broke the camel's back? And reports said that Tony Khan was a first-hand witness to this entire altercation. You can't punch your coworkers in front of your boss, Phil. As a CM Punk fan myself, I wanted to believe that maybe All Out was just a out of proportion thing, an uncharacteristic lapse of judgment from CM Punk, and that, with him being back, finally he'll be able to get on track and stuff. And over the past month, we've just heard backstage story over backstage story, again, backstage story, about just how difficult the guy is to work with and the havoc that he's been causing within AEW. And that's not why AEW was founded. AEW was seen as this promised land of places, and maybe CM Punk was the cancer inside of AEW that needed to be cut out. Sorry for lack of a better term there, but when you're causing this much havoc around you and your coworkers, it's hard not to think that the common denominator here is Phil Brooks. The common denominator here is CM Punk. With WWE, with AEW, all of it is him. And don't get me wrong, whenever CM Punk first built this legacy of the voice of the voiceless, he was fighting against these people because we didn't have a voice, and we did agree with him. But at the end of the day, the world is different from that. It's not as black and white. It's not like, yay WWE, boo WWE. There's options out there, and people have the ability to really go in and say, okay, well, what is the thing we're not understanding about this situation? Is there more to it? You're putting this person's name in your mouth, or putting that person's name in your mouth. What is the common denominator here? And at the end of the day, it's CM Punk, and it always has been CM Punk. I truthfully hope AEW is able to have a weekend that moves on from this news, because All Out does look like a very entertaining card. And again, we have Jon Moxley stepping in where CM Punk was supposed to be and working with Orange Cassidy, and I think that's going to be a fantastic main event. There's so much going on in AEW right now for it to where they don't need the distraction of CM Punk. And for CM Punk, truthfully, I think this is the end of his wrestling career. If you're not being able to work in WWE and you're clearly not being able to work in AEW, there has to be something that changes. And I think, unfortunately, that CM Punk removing himself from the world of professional wrestling, which I hate to see because I love CM Punk. I love CM Punk so much. He's been one of my favorite wrestlers ever since I was a child, but there's a point where you have to look past those rose-colored nostalgic glasses and go, no, this guy is a problem. He does have an attitude problem. He has a problem with everyone around him. He has a problem regulating his own emotions, and he really does need to take a step back and think what's going to be best for him and his own mental health, because it's clearly not the world of professional wrestling. Oh my gosh, I am very out of breath. So yeah, again, breaking news, CM Punk has been terminated by All Elite Wrestling. What do you think of this situation? Do you think AEW's in the right here by firing Punk? Do you think that maybe there could have been another way to work this out? Or is this the best thing for Punk to do? Is it best for him to step away from professional wrestling and to step away from AEW? Let me know your comments down below. Thank you guys for watching Extreme League Wrestling. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next upload. And we'll catch you next time.